is, not too far in the future, not too far in the past, right now. Give everybody a little time to come in. In fact, let me know how the audio is when you get to the space. Let me know how the audio is. A little thumbs up. Learning it about memories. Cool. What's up, Kendra Jones? Vern Sports Takes, DNA Creations. Well, I'm doing pretty good, doing well. Energies, Virgo energy, organizing things. And I want to start off this video with a reminder of, embracing our human experience and realizing, like when you see people having like a certain ease or flow, or just majority of the time they seem like, things are always, at ease in their realm, in essence. It goes back to the perspective of understanding that contrast and challenges are always going to be present. So contrast and challenges will always exist, but what happens is, when we accept the fact that, contrast and challenges will always exist, and we truly understand this, you become better at responding instead of reacting. Because so much of, again, like the spiritual New Age movement almost makes it seem like, oh yeah, once you start ascending or become spiritual, everything gonna be easy all the time. And what's really happening, there is an ease in essence that comes into play, but that ease or that, that quote unquote feeling good or being able to handle things is that awareness, like, all right, these contrasts and challenges are gonna always exist. So it's how I respond to it, instead of reacting. It's like constantly being able to respond, because there's never gonna be a moment where a challenge or a contrast won't exist, And to be honest with you, in a lot of cases, the more you progress, like in essence, when they say different levels, quote unquote, different devils, with that little phrase, but just in general, the challenges, you started off with, say for instance, the challenges and contrast from being at your 9 to 5, but then once you start your own business, that comes with challenges and contrast. And then when you grow within that business, there are going to be more challenges and contrast. So it's just having the ability to continuously, be resilient and persevere and respond, because responsibility, our ability to respond, to those contrasts and challenges. So being aware, to not fall into that subconscious program of feeling like, oh, I'm not supposed to, like, this not supposed to happen to me. Like, I'm not supposed to go through nothing, no challenges at this point in my growth. I'm not supposed to, have no shit happen to me right now. I transcended that. I've done my meditations and I got my Moldavite. I got my Moldavite. I meditate. That shouldn't happen to me anymore. You know what I'm saying? So being aware of that consciousness, and again, like, yes, you're a multi-dimensional being. Yes, you are, a source on a source energy, our infinite being. You're more of your soul than you are your human body, but you're still in a human vehicle. You're still on a human experience. I laugh about some of my, DMT trips or mushroom trips where, you go through that cycling of, your individual / ego experience and, the collective experience. And again, like almost like cycling from the crown to the root, where it's like you getting realizations like that's just like shit, like damn, I ain't know the universe was this, vast. And then you cycle into the ego perspective of like, oh, and don't forget you got to go to work at 7. You work the morning shift tomorrow at work. You know what I'm saying? Like having to, have that balance and that awareness. You know what I'm saying? So again, like subconsciously, remembering that, you're gonna always have those contrasts and challenges. Because in a lot of cases, a lot of lesson loops may come up due to not embracing, that human experience and feeling like, you're supposed to have transcended, having challenges and contrasts, you know what I'm saying? And of course, along with that, maintaining gratitude and presence, and taking that, from that space, you know what I'm saying? So that's just kind of starting off. And so bringing up lesson loops again, like a lot of lesson loops is due to, embracing the fact, or not embracing the fact, or should I say not embracing the fact that contrasts and challenges are going to always exist, And with lesson loops, in most cases, it has to deal with memory. You know what I'm saying? Like you're going through this lesson because you didn't remember. You know what I'm saying? Like when you back in school, even though the school system not a completely accurate aspect of how to learn. In essence, there are some truths in the way the school system in this realm have it set up to learn. And for one, you learn through repetition, and the repetition kind of brings these things into your memory, like by constantly like A, B, C, D, E, or because that's also to the tune of what it is, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, you know what I'm saying? Like by constantly singing that every day, you know what I'm saying, with that little harmony as well, that kind of shows how the music helps. And again, when we talk about music, the chorus, you know what I'm saying, or AKA the hook, the hook is repeated through the song, to the point where you'll find yourself singing the hook to a song that you don't even really like that, but because of the repetition of that melody and those words, it kind of sticks, And it's the same thing with the, with these lesson loops. It's like we go through these different repeated lessons due to not memorizing, the content or the insight that we're supposed to remember. And, and that would bring me, that brings me also back to the perspective of dealing with, psychedelic journeys, because one of the things, like, again, like a psychedelic journey would break down, or should I say just go real, deep, or, just really remove the veil from, like I say, from the experience to where you really see the intricacies of like how lesson loops, how they come back around or how they prevent it, either one, you know what I'm saying? And I remember always, with the trips, like everybody, especially if it was, more than, well, whether by myself or with somebody else, but, you would get to a point where, oh, you just chilling. And then you realize like there's a reoccurring theme, but at first you don't catch it because you're kind of like in your human aspect still, with all these different distractions and things. you know, again, that's why that experience does kind of like highlight it, you know, it makes it to where you're not getting lost in the sauce of your, you know, the distractions of the human experience. But, you know, it's like everything cool, like, all right. But then you keep seeing like, all right, I keep getting to this point here, you know. So when the loop comes back around and you realize like you're in a loop due to a certain perspective or not, you know, not embodying a certain realization, and how to, you know, break out of that loop is to recognize what it is, you know, what that new perspective is that you need to implement, or what it is that you're not noticing, like what's causing this little cycle to keep reoccurring. So first you gotta recognize, you know, like, all right, what recognize, you know what I'm saying, why this loop keeps coming back. And then most importantly, once you recognize it, is to memorize and maintain that new perspective. So once you recognize what it is, it's like, all right, this is what it is, you know what I'm saying? And hence why you start to see why, you know, it's so much emphasis on not being distracted, because if you get so distracted, you know what I'm saying, you could forget to memorize certain important lessons. And then it's also connected with, you know, going through loops. You know, it's like being on a merry-go-round, and you could become dizzy or like punch drunk from these constant loops. So it's like to memorize and maintain a new perspective that the, you know, so basically once you memorize it and maintain that memory of the new perspective, you know, that loop dissipates and you start a new cycle. But the moment that you forget, like I'm talking about the exact moment you forget what that lesson was, you know, that you needed to maintain, or again, like you lose the memory of what that lesson or what that loop was trying to teach you, or you right back in it, you know what I'm saying? And that's, again, from a microcosm level of your day-to-day, quote unquote, and then as beings, you know, on a macrocosmic level, you know, it's like going through that same little cycle, you know, like, all right, as a collective, you know, y'all don't remember what happened last time, so let's bring it back. Let's just go back through this loop so y'all can remember, you know what I'm saying, coming up again. So the key, you know, in essence, is like, you know, the memory and memorizing what it is that, you know, has come up for you to learn and embody and maintain, you know. Because again, it could for sure be memory. And then also, you know, fear could prevent new action as well, you know. Like where you fear, like you got the insight, but you fear taking the action or embodying the perspective that needs to be embodied, or taking the action that needs to be taken, you know what I'm saying? So it's like that memory and memorizing, you know, what that lesson is or what that insight is. And connecting this with crystals, you know, I think of like you can use quartz in this manner, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, not only, again, because this is, you know, not just for psychedelic journeys, you know, in general, you know, you can use a quartz to like program a quartz like, hey, remember, help me to amplify the memory of this perspective, you know what I'm saying, or help amplify, you know, the courage in the moment to act upon this situation, you know, in a new manner, or basically amplify my ability to respond differently. You know what I'm saying? There's multiple things you could, you know, program it, but specifically to help you memorize whatever perspective is necessary and amplify your courage to take the action, you know, and maintain that memory of whatever that is, you know what I'm saying? So, because I asked myself, what part of the trip is the best moment to create a new cycle, you know, and it's when you see that, you know, the cycle coming back up again, you know, it's like having to, you know, and seeing basically, again, from psychedelic journeys for myself, from psychedelic journeys to realizing that shit, life is a trip, and that energy is, prevalent, even if you're not on shrooms or DMT or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? So it's like having to, memorize using, like, again, the quartz like a USB card or a memory chip, and no coincidence that they use it in computers, and being in a simulation, quartz in essence is kind of like also like, hence why it's using the computers, because it's also, used in the simulation in the same way. You know what I'm saying? It's like a more organic aspect of the simulation, but still, part of simulation. But again, like using or working with it as a tool to help break out of, these cycles and create new cycles in essence. And, this also, what came up is, when we think about journaling, like how can journaling be detrimental to creating a new cycle? And, two things that came up was like, if you're rereading certain things that subconsciously, subtly trigger you into the same behavior. So you go back in your journal and you read something that, you didn't really need to go back and read, and it just kind of triggers you back into that past situation, and this goes into the video I just recently did with the hippocampus and PTSD, and the psoas muscle, and again, just going back to the whole memories. So with the journaling aspect, again, like it's like rereading certain things that subconsciously, subtly trigger you into the same behavior. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the ways that journaling could be detrimental. And then another way is somewhat in the same thing, but too much introspect or reflection, too much introspect or reflection on the past. Because journaling, when it's technical. So basically, when you're journaling when it's technically not necessary, or your journaling becomes a routine comfort zone, you know what I'm saying, where, or should I say, kind of going back and rereading certain stuff becomes like a comfort zone of yours, like to depend on it. That's when it becomes, detrimental to being present and moving forward in the moment, Take a pause for the pause. Again, memory breaks down like with the Hebrew letter mem. You know what I'm saying? Water, connected to water. And it's also like the subject of balancing out the elements within the body. You know what I'm saying? And this balance between, in essence, free will and destiny. Because the will, like willpower, deals with, the fire and air energies, or the masculine energies, which initiate actions. And the destiny aspect is dealing with the water and earth energies, which is basically dealing with the energy of responding to what already has transpired. You know what I'm saying? Where, it's kind of like, where, again, like that's like the destiny in essence, where like, all right, this already transpiring, so now it's the vibrate, what can I do about it? I could respond differently, you know what I'm saying? And this, again, like connected to, the aspect of memory. We talk about, water, because water has that ability to hold memory. You talk about Dr. Emoto and the whole thing of like talking to your water, or playing a song for your water, you know what I'm saying, or writing something on your water bottle. Bringing up the free will, energy, and the destiny energy. Like the choice or the free will energy. Basically the free will beings have the, quote unquote freedom of choice, or free to make choices. but the possibility of disorder, you know what I'm saying? Because again, everything has its positive and its negative, and that's another thing, you know. And that's the collective memory, you know, is to realize, you know, that it's not just one, like, oh, this side is all good or this side is all bad, you know. And that's another thing to remember, you know, get the members back together, is when researching ancient texts, you know, or ancient literature, you know, is to remember to stop looking for who's the good guys and who's the bad guys. Like, all right, who's the good guys, who's the bad guys? All right, the fire and air beings were the bad guys, or y'all dollar brought was the bad guy, or, you know, the water being, you know, like, just constantly like looking for some type of scapegoat to like blame, you know, for certain situations. But that's also a part of, you know, the collective memory, is to stop, you know, blaming. Because of course, you know, and as I'm saying this, yes, there are antagonists that exist, you know, within this realm, you know, but again, that antagonist is neither good nor bad. You know, it's like everything is helping you to learn something about yourself, you know what I'm saying, in some way, form, or fashion. So again, the free will beings have, you know, are free to make choices, but there is a possibility of disorder, quote unquote. And then you got the destiny energy, you know, in which you could look at the free will energy almost like the chaos beings type of energy, and then the destiny energy is more so like the control hive mind type of beings, you know what I'm saying, where, you know, like, this is your destiny to work for this hive, you know, you're a worker bee, this is what you are. Again, because I'm going to that too, like, you know, with tradition, you know, it's like, this is the tradition, you always done this, your grandmother done this, and it's just the way it's done, you know what I'm saying, and just staying, you know, within the lines of that, almost like, again, like hive mind or extreme control conditions. And again, there's a positive and negative to both sides, you know. But again, the controlling beings having, or should I say the destiny beings having some form of structure, but it removes, you know, having a choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, like, that bee just have to work for the hive the way, again, the worker bee before it worked for the hive, you know. And again, there's no good or bad or right or wrong to any, you know, any of these perspectives. It's just, you know, peeping out, you know, these different connections. And then, let's see, tradition. This also goes into morphic fields, you know, morphic resonance or morphic fields. You know, basically, it's a hypothesis that proposes that memory is inherent in nature. You know, and most of the so-called laws of nature are more like habits. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, realizing in our now moment on a microcosmic level, on your day-to-day, you know, our habits are automatic. You know, and again, like that habitual nature, you know, that's kind of connected to the water energy, you know what I'm saying, or memory, you know what I'm saying, like, you already have a memory, you know, that's already instilled in you with your habits, you know what I'm saying. That's like a, you know, like your cell, when they talk about cellular memory, you know what I'm saying, like your cellular memory has that awareness or that memory of, like, all right, at 12 o'clock every day, I go smoke my cannabis, you know what I'm saying, or I eat this food, or I drink this drink, you know, at 12 o'clock every day, you know what I'm saying. So it's like a, you know, a memory, you know, again, or a habit, you know. So habits are automatic if you don't change it, you know. That's where the will, you know, that fire energy, because, you know, and fire kind of, you know, evaporates that water a little bit, you know what I'm saying, and that air creates like a little pocket or a little air bubble within that water to have the space to kind of do something different from what the water, you know, is influencing or has the memory of, And we talk about tradition. Tradition is the transmission of customs or beliefs from generation to generation, or the fact of being passed and or passed on in this way. So basically, like, the tradition is, like, or the belief is like generation after generation, we always do this. And also a tradition could be like the artistic or literary method followed by others, like this is the traditional art or the traditional literature, you know what I'm saying? And again, as I say this, we understand that it all has its, its necessary balance, you know what I'm saying? But when you break down the etymology of tradition, it's part, the beginning aspect is trans, in Latin meaning across, and then dere in Latin meaning to give, So again, to give across, like the tradition to give across generation, give across to generation, give across to generation, you know what I'm saying? And tradere in Latin, is to deliver or also betray, because also, like a trader in essence, one of the definitions to trader is like to deliver or betray, Again, reincarnation and past lives is connected to memory, you know what I'm saying? And also, again, a time machine is memory, you know what I'm saying? But the dimensions that you remember, like you remember that past life and constantly doing this, so you make a different choice, And hence why, it's so important to, question things, Even as we break out of certain religions, it's like to still question things and not question it to extreme, but definitely like question, like, all right, well, why is this a tradition? Almost like the video I did recently on, assessing your spiritual practice. Like, all right, this tradition, does it work right now? You know what I'm saying? And some traditions, like the tradition of brushing my teeth every morning, you know what I'm saying? That still works, that keeps my mouth healthy and smelling good, you know what I'm saying? So that's a healthy habit or tradition in essence. That my body, the little cells in my body through like for years. the universe goes into the bathroom, you know what I'm saying, and has been cleaning the chewing area, you know what I'm saying, every millennia, this chewing area gets, because I'm pretty sure it's a small cell that would seem like, millennia, like every day, every morning would seem probably like thousands of years, to a cell in the body, because again, some cells, with the fact that our cells, are what, I think every 7 years, you have a set of like new cells. Like every 7 years seem like, like how we go through the yugas or the cycles, like every 25,000 years, from our perspective. But again, like questioning, certain aspects of tradition, seeing, like what are healthy habits or traditions that should be kept, you know what I'm saying? I think about like with Christianity, Christianity was passed down as the truth, and especially due to the majority, like, oh, this is the majority, my grandmother been going to church, you know what I'm saying, like you just always go to church, so that's what it is, you know what I'm saying, and it's like, all right, is this, helping me to be, a sovereign being? Is this helping me to, understand who I truly am, or is this just conditioning me to, not think for myself, or not, you know what I'm saying, to kind of just stay in a certain little box in essence? So, you see where, again, like the Christianity, and just traditions in general, cultural traditions, even, again, like within the quote-unquote conscious community aspect, is like, again, like questioning some of these quote-unquote traditions, because of tradition, you know, again, like with anything, you gotta have that balance and really question and see, like, all right, is this effective? Is this something that I do need to keep up, or is this tradition something that is, you know, quote unquote harmful, you know, or a toxic or unhealthy habit, you know, again, within the microcosm of our day to day, or in a macrocosmic perspective of, you know, the collective. Even like right now, you know, researching the hypostasis of the archons from the Gnostic scriptures. Matter of fact, in the Discord, if y'all, I'll put up the Discord link again. You know, but from the Gnostic scriptures, you got the book, or should I say you can say the book, called again the hypostasis of the archons. And then another one called The Origins of the World, you know, where in essence they explain the creation story. You know, but, you know, when researching it and looking at this, you know, it's like, you know, again, like having to maintain that awareness to not look at any side as good or bad, right or wrong, you know. Again, like anything in the extreme could be, you know, toxic in some way, form, or fashion. With the, you know, morphic resonance, you know, that brings up the fact, like, all right, you know, if they're saying like there's some type of habit that nature has already, you know what I'm saying, and still, you know, does that mean like we're just automatically having to, you know, just go along with the flow? And hence why, you know, this terminology is like going with the flow and surrender, you know, that's more so coming from that water energy in essence, you know, by making changes, you know, like fire movement and the wind blows this direction and blows the other direction, you know, like quick changes, you know, it's connected to, again, the fire and air aspect. Talk about controlling your breath, you know what I'm saying, or being a trailblazer, you know, blazing your own trail, you know, in essence, or, you know, tapping into your uniqueness, you know, like we talk about unique expression, you know, that's connected to Uranus, which is known as, you know, the god of air in some cases, you know, and then the letter for air, you know, Aleph, is connected to the Uranus energy or the air energy. But also I was gonna say Aquarius, you know what I'm saying, like the Aquarian age, you know what I'm saying, like again, like it's like bringing in, and Uranus like bringing in like this futuristic vibe, you know what I'm saying, because new ideas and thoughts, you know what I'm saying, allows for these different changes. But again, it's like a balance of this energy, you know. But yeah, the controlled breathing, you know what I'm saying, like, and that goes into, you know, the seraphim energy, you know what I'm saying, like you know, the hierarchy of angels that had to deal with, you know, fire and serpent. And then when you really look at it, you know, like seraphim, like burning or flashes of fire, you know, in I forgot what it was, I think it's in Ezekiel, in the chapters with Ezekiel, chapter 1 verses 15 to like 28, you know, they go into the Ophanum and the cherubim and the seraphim. But you see, like the seraphim, when you break it down, it's like, all right, they're dealing with the burning energy or fire energy, you know, it's dealing with the energy, like they say, is they're always ascending and descending, and they're connected to serpents. So what that sounds like the Kundalini energy, again, as above, so below, as within, so without. Now what I call the Kundalini energy in me, like completely all bad or completely all good, it's like it's neither, and it just deals with perspective, because again, like you have a Kundalini awakening or raising at a moment, you know what I'm saying, like where the Kundalini, raising it kind of overwhelming, that could be seen as bad. Or when you have a awareness of the Kundalini raising, you know what I'm saying, it could be something that's seen as healthy, in essence. And the same thing we're dealing with our zodiac signs, because the cherubim in essence represents the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac. So it's like, when we tapping into knowing, the astrology for the day and knowing what transit's going on, where the moon at, where the sun at, you know what I'm saying, like that could be very helpful, But then if you get too extreme on watching it, you know what I'm saying, and looking into it, it could become detrimental and stagnate you, because you're like always looking to see, like, all right, what is planet at, what is planet, like every move you make, you know what I'm saying. So again, we just see how it just deals with perspective, and again, like having memory of the fact that, again, all these different perspectives or angles or angels, you know what I'm saying, they serve a purpose, and being aware to just have that balance in between them. But again, it just goes back to memory. It's a part of the, we talk about time travel, like now is the vibrating, not too far in the future, not too far in the past. It's like, again, like the memory is the time machine, in the essence of, again, when you're doing a visualization exercise, you memorize what happened to you as a little kid. You go back and hug yourself as a little child, you know what I'm saying? When, a certain situation happened that was traumatizing, you know what I'm saying? You gotta tap in with that part of yourself, the memory is the time machine, and it's kind of, again, like the perspective of multi-dimensional travel, where you don't have to, necessarily hop in no spaceship, or even, again, like with the perspective of, there's a time machine, or you need a time machine. In essence, the time machine is memory, and speaking of memory, that could either be, used in a healthy manner or a toxic manner, you know what I'm saying? Because with certain memories, you know what I'm saying, there comes in that energy of, with like trying to overly control things, or too much of going with the flow, you know what I'm saying? Or should I say, too much of like trying to change, like going around like the butterfly effect, if you ever watched that movie where he kept trying to change certain outcomes so much to where, it just showed him like, bro, you're gonna have, again, back to the dealing with contrast or, challenges of contrast no matter what, and on a macrocosmic level, certain aspects of our being, certain dimensions of our being had to learn that lesson, in a tough way. It's like, all right, you keep trying to, change these little situations, Think of Doctor Strange also, like with the, but not a, I think he did it a little bit in the multiverse, but for sure with what it was, Endgame or Infinity Wars or whatever, you know what I'm saying, with Thanos, and going and seeing all the different outcomes to see which one was going to be, in alignment. That time travel energy. I was also brought up in the Umbrella Academy with I forgot which number he was, but basically with the son of the scientist who had the ability to time travel, and he was just like jumping timelines, shifting things and doing things, and that was also kind of the perspective in the Loki series as well on Disney. And it's like waterhead. That's the perspective of, like again, like taking care of our auric field hygiene, like taking care of our spiritual hygiene, physically, spiritually, because again, the cells in the body, again, the multi-dimensional aspect of our being, physical, etherical, etheric, astral, what I'm saying? Like, it's like the hygiene and memory on all levels, what I'm saying? We're taking care of the hygiene so that the memory could be, maintained. What you think about, like, dealing with the first eye, the first eye, deals with, the pineal gland, and in essence, has that energy of dealing with memory. When I think about ginkgo biloba, which is real great for, like, memory, what I'm saying? And actually, in essence, kind of helps with the pineal gland. Got crystals like fluorite, pyrite, what I'm saying, hematite, which hematite, pyrite, are very grounding crystals, what I'm saying, that help with the memory. So again, like dealing with that earth energy, what I'm saying, very strongly. When we talk about traditions, earth energy and earth signs, in essence, deal with values or traditions or how we did things in the past. Again, the fire and air energy is like the will, or like trying to change things, that futuristic perspective. This is also, again, broken down, like, matter of fact, shout out to, the comic book saga, what I'm saying, by Image Comics, what I'm saying, that basically, like, matter of fact, like my brethren says, like one of the purest little, ways to like retell the story of, one of the purest ways of like retelling that little story and that whole connection with the different, again, beings, and, it's like having to find that balance between, creating the future or making changes and, keeping memory or holding on to certain traditions. Now, with the fact that, water is more prominent within our bodysuit, so as above, so below, just in general, water is the more prominent element, in essence, or just more abundant, let's just say that, that energy of, destiny and memory is so important due to that, due to that fact, And again, when we talk about morphic fields, that kind of goes into that energy again, like our habits are automatic with the subconscious mind. Subconscious mind is connected to water energy, and what our subconscious is responsible for 99.9% of what you do and say on just automation, what I'm saying? So like if you're not changing nothing, your subconscious is gonna go with what you've been believing in, or what you've been saying or thinking, or what I'm saying, like subconscious will like just go with the habits, go with what's already plugged in until you create the repetition of something different. Again, like I was just gonna always go to the 40 ounce, you know what I'm saying, until I created the repetition of, drinking smoothies, or, like again, like it's like the habitual nature, you know what I'm saying, gonna automatically be there until you start to like willfully, you know what I'm saying, the balance with a little will come in, you know what I'm saying, to, change up some of those, traditions or habits, you know what I'm saying. Not to see neither side as good or bad, right or wrong. Again, like not looking for, because that's just, it all kind of within it, like that's a subconscious habit within itself too. It's like, from certain religious traditions, it's like, who's the boogeyman? Who's the scapegoat? Who's the bad guy in the story? You know what I'm saying? Because even with, again, like looking at the Gnostic scriptures and you see Yadala broth and, Yadala brought, like basically like an aborted fetus in essence, you know what I'm saying? But like that whole energy of, again in the scriptures, treated like, oh, he's the bad one, he's the demon, you know what I'm saying? Because although he knew other beings or gods existed, in essence, he told the little angels he created, like, hey, I'm the only God and I'm jealous, which again is a contradiction within itself, because how could you be jealous if you're the only one? Like, to be jealous of something, it takes more than one. And matter of fact, speaking of, like, in little statements like the devil is in the details, like, like paying attention to those little subtle details, within, text that kind of, again, like tell a true story in essence. It's like, all right, how, when I bring up the Gnostic scriptures, that doesn't mean that this is the end all be all or the only literature you should go off of, because again, a lot of this stuff, just through meditation and clearing your mind and, getting more, clear connection with your intuition, a lot of this you'll end up, depending on, what your gifts kind of lean towards, but in general, you'll kind of get some form of insight about these things without having to read a lot, you know what I'm saying? Again, like coming across the books is kind of like the follow-up to, is like you lining up with that energy internally, so the book kind of just shows up, you know what I'm saying, like automatically, like you say automatically, you manifest the funds to buy this certain book, or you feel this vibe to read this part of a certain book, or go to the library and look at this book, because you start to line up with that energy internally. And since the physical aspect of being in this realm kind of moves at a slower rate, not bad or good, but just a lower vibration or slower rate, just like the root chakra vibrates at a slower rate than the crown, doesn't mean that it's bad, or but things in the physical kind of comes after, you know what I'm saying, the fact of the more high vibratory energies, you know what I'm saying. So again, like it come, you tapping in spiritually, you getting there, are you there, so it aligns physically as well, as I'm catching that urge to like look into manifestation and law of attraction, and I end up lining up with physical books and lectures and things that kind of not kind of but align with that energy in essence. Correlation of tradition, habits, morphic resonance, balance of the elements. Again, controlling the breath, trailblazing that fiery Aries energy, you know what I'm saying? Blazing the trail head first, going with the flow, surrender, tradition, and old family values of the past, you know what I'm saying? Like that Earth, Capricorn, Virgo energy, you know what I'm saying? stop at this point. And if anybody have any questions, relating to anything I done spoke on already in this video, in connection with memory, lesson programming your quartz crystals to memorize certain things to help you break out of a certain cycle. Again, it just all goes back to, again, like having to break certain habits, aka certain the mental traditions, or physical, mental, because it's all a balance. You might get over it mentally, but then the body asking for it, or you get over it on a body level, but then your thoughts kind of like, hey, let's do what we used to do. So it's like, again, like, or with the water in the body, of course, it's like the emotions, like, you remember this, like, what about this that happened to us in the past, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, finding that balance within all the elements. What's up? Matter of fact, everybody, shout out where you currently at, what area of the world you in. Yep, right at a nice point too, because it's about to start raining. Yeah, what area of the world y'all in? Where you at? Where we go? Then look, I did well. Y'all know what it is. Now to vibrate, not too far in the future, not too far in the past. Right now, I'm about to take it in. So